find the one, you should never give her up. I think it's the way life changes when in love, yeah. I surround my soul with the positivity. That's why I don't worry about the things that I don't see, yeah. These days I don't worry about much. I think we should have some more fun. I still dream about the days when we were young. I'll take a hit and still finish in one, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. Memory lane, isn't that too far away from our hearts, yeah, yeah. The ones we keep close, we should never let go. So tell me who you love, baby. Take a moment to unwind, fix yourself and realign yourself with the world, baby. Breathe slow, baby.
Hello everyone, you are welcome to my channel. I am Marino Suman. On this channel we talk about beekeeping, bees and bee products with honey inclusive. Today I'm going to talk about a phenomenon in raw honey which people misconstrue. I've met a lot of people who, when they see that, they say the honey is impure. That is rather not the case. So I'm going to show you something. This is honey. You see, it's honey. So me, raw honey. I'm a beekeeper, and this is the honey I sell. Me, raw honey. And as the name implies, it's a raw honey. But can you see some solid particles on the bottle? What you see there are honey crystals. Yeah, honey crystals. So this means that the honey in here is crystallized. Let me show you how crystallized honey is. So you can see this part is a liquid part, a liquid honey, and what you see here is a solid honey. So the honey is actually divided into two: solid honey, liquid honey. The solid part you see here are honey crystals, honey crystals, and here is a normal liquid honey. I'm going to talk about this. Beekeepers, there's one of the problems beekeepers we face. We actually, this phenomenon is out of our hands, and it doesn't happen to all honey. It happens to some honey, which I'll talk more about it in this video. It's sometimes troubling that you go to your bee farm, harvest your honey, come bottle to sell. The honey will stay there for a while, and then gradually your honey will turn solid, and then your customers will be rejecting it because, well, perhaps they've not seen some before. It's new to them, and so they reject it. Sometimes you try to explain, and they will look into your eyes and tell you that no, you are selling fake honey to me. Or it's troubling. So if you're a beekeeper and then this happens to you, you can show this video to your customers or your friends for them to get enlightened about what honey crystallization is about, so that they start embracing it. This is rather a sign of a sign that the honey is raw. So when you go to the market and you see this, quickly buy it, because there's rather an attestation to the fact that the honey you are buying is very raw. So I'm going to talk about the causes of honey crystallization. What types of honey does this occur in? What type of honey can crystallize? And then if your honey crystallizes, but then you prefer your honey in the liquid state, how are you going to liquefy it? I'm going to talk about this. So stay tuned. So let's break down what is happening in your honey and what you can do about it. I'm going to talk about two things that makes your honey likely to crystallize. And yeah, so I will talk about what makes your honey crystallize and what you can do about it. The first one is temperature. So when a temperature is low, very low, where you've kept your honey, the temperature around the area is very low, your honey will crystallize. Even in a hive, when the temperature, according to my research, when the temperature falls below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, your honey in the bee comb, in the hive, is going to crystallize. I hope you know what a hive is. A hive is the box, the wooden box we place in the farm, the bee farm, to keep the bees in, where we accommodate the bees in, and then we carry on our beekeeping operations. In the hive, at the farm, if the temperature falls to 50 degrees Fahrenheit and below, the honey in the comb of the hive will crystallize. So this is one thing that can make your honey crystallize. And the place that you've kept your honey, let's say your cupboard, if the temperature in there is very low, gradually your honey will crystallize. It will form solid. It's simple, like putting a liquid in a fridge. Because the temperature in a fridge is too low, your like what you place in the fridge is more likely to solidify. It's the same way with honey. The temperature is low, your honey will solidify. So how do you avoid this? Placing your honey in a warmer spot will slow crystallization. And when your honey crystallizes and you don't like the texture, when it crystallizes, the texture changes. So if you don't like the texture or actually the crampy nature of your honey, what you are going to do is simple. You add heat to soften your honey. So adding heat will liquefy crystallized honey. It's simple, like you have a block and ice, and then you want to melt it. What do? You add heat and then it melts. The same way with honey. It's simple, right? So you add heat and then your honey will liquefy. And you should be very careful when you are heating your honey, because overheating your honey will change the quality of the honey, and then you risk losing your raw honey nutrients and benefits. So you should be very careful with that. But the problem is that when the honey cools down, it's still going to surge back to chunky again and crystallize. So to me, I will encourage that you embrace the crystallized honey, because it's still a high quality honey. Probably the texture that will change, but it's still a great honey. And then maybe because it will crystallize later when it cools down, I'll advise that you heat in batches. So for the honey that you are going to use, you heat that one only to liquid state, and then you enjoy it. And then when you're about to eat another honey, then you heat what quantity you will use, and then you eat. I think if you can do that, fine. But come on, raw honey is great. So I would advise that you enjoy your honey crystallized like that. it's great. The next thing that is going to cause your honey to crystallize is the proportion of glucose and fructose in the honey. Now, honey is made up of glucose and fructose. These are two sugars. They are natural sugars, of course. And then the ratio of these two sugars is a characteristic of the plants the bees fed on to make the honey. So different varieties of honey will have different ratios of these two sugars, which means different honey crystallizes at different rates, and it's glucose that crystallizes. So which means some honey are resistant to crystallization because they have lower glucose and higher fructose. So the higher the level of glucose in the honey, the faster is it for your honey to crystallize. So that's how it is. So some honey do not crystallize at all because the glucose level is low, whilst the fructose level is higher. So with such honey, it can be at a cooler place, but then it will never show a sign of crystallization. But if the glucose level is high, it means your honey will easily crystallize. So that is how it is. I've done this experiment, and then I will admonish you also to try. If your honey crystallizes, just dry it to powdery form and then taste that powder. It tastes just like glucose. Yeah, I've done it before, so I know what I'm talking about. It tastes exactly like glucose, the glucose that in sports people consume for energy to go through their sporting activities. It's just like that. So it's the glucose that crystallizes. That is why the honey becomes solid. So I want to tell you that if you see a crystallized honey, it doesn't mean the honey has gone bad. It's the ratio between the glucose and then the fructose. If the glucose is higher in the honey, your honey will crystallize, and it's normal and natural. And if it's higher and then you place it in a cooler place too, it's definitely going to crystallize. So that is how it happens. So I want you to remember that crystallized honey has not spoiled. In fact, raw honey never goes bad. Raw honey doesn't go bad. If you keep it raw, it never goes bad. So crystallized honey has not gone bad. It's still nutritious. It's still of higher quality. It's still nice. It's still tasty. Like, it's still sweet. So you throw your raw honey, you throw your crystallized honey away only when you are the kind of person who likes to waste delicious food. So embrace your crystallized honey. It's as a result of a natural process. It is totally natural and normal. Crystallized honey is just as edible and delicious as liquid honey. So I hope from today forward you are not going to throw your crystallized honey away. I hope you are not going to see crystallized honey and reject it. If you do that, it means that you are that kind of person who probably wastes delicious food, and I'm sure you are not one of them. So crystallized honey is great. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so, and then subscribe to this channel and like my video and share it to people. Let people get to know about this. Let's spread the news. That's crystallized honey is great. It's normal. Let people know so that they don't throw their raw honey away or accuse their honey sellers that they are selling to them fake honey. Thank you very much for your time. We'll meet again some other time. Bye bye.